Hi, welcome everyone. My name is Michelle, and I'm grateful that you guys are checking our first video here out with our newsletter, China Cat Chat. Hopefully, you all enjoyed the first issue, and this is going to be in our second issue. We're going to be trying to bring an interview every month of tales from the lot, tales from the road, tales from how people got on the bus. And the way we got on the bus. We are going to tell you a little bit about that tonight. But I'm here with a couple of really important people in my life, and I'll let them introduce themselves here in a minute. But I'm here with Todd and my sister Michelle, I mean Elizabeth, and I'm Michelle. And we're going to just have a little chat about some great things about the dead and just some great history and the walk that my sister has had with this great music and this great band and her stories. So we wanted to share that with you guys. And my sister is actually what brought us together. My sweetheart Todd and I met while working for my sister in Durango, Colorado in the summer of '87. And we didn't know the Dead then, although I could have gotten to the Dead show. I was not allowed to go to the Telluride Dead show. My dad said no. So that I got a no to the one show I would have liked to have gone to. But my sister kept going and I finally got on the bus. And so that's why we're here. And I'll go ahead and let my loved ones here share a little bit about themselves and we'll start asking some questions.
Okay, I guess I'll go. I'm part of the China Cat Chat crew. So Michelle and I, like she said, have been thinking about this for a very long time, and we finally had our newsletter come out last week, and so this will be the first actual interview we're doing with the best deadhead out there. So Michelle's sister, Elizabeth. That's me, Elizabeth. You want to introduce yourself?
Yes, good. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the chat. I'm so honored to be the first video interview. I'm really excited about it. And, my band is The Dead. I mean, people say, who do you like? The Dead is my band. I just can't imagine life without the music. I started, my first show was in 78. And I lived in Durango, Colorado, so we didn't get shows there. We had to drive, to Denver. So McNichols Arena was my first show, an old basketball arena in Denver. And then in the summer of 78, I went to Red Rocks, and we called it Wet Rocks because it rained for 4 days, and we were all just wet rats the whole time. And we all stood in the rain and just danced and loved the music. And I mean, if that doesn't, stop you from going to a show, I don't know what would. But we persevered, and I guess after that show, that was like my third show. I'd seen him in that winter in Nichols a couple times, and that was our third show.
But what got you on the bus? Was it the first show? Was it the dancing in the rain for 4 days? What got you on the bus? Was it a person? Was
You
it
know,
the
we used to load up in Durango in a light blue, we called it the Whale, a light blue old station wagon, and like 10 of us would pile in there and drive to Denver to see the shows. I mean, it was the first show hooked me with the feeling and the music and the vibes and the camaraderie, and you just took a took an amazing look at this band and just the feeling and I like Western, country Western, the ballads, the folk, the bluegrass, the ripple, the songs like that really are heartfelt to me. And they had all that. Back in the day I wasn't too big on space and drums, but we'd always take that as our break time. But now I love space and drums.
No, so I'll stop it. So was the first show then at Red Rocks?
First show was at McNichols
Big
in
Nichols.
Denver, and that was the winter. And then Red Rocks came, I think it was June. We had Wet Rocks. I mean, everybody kept thinking it would quit raining, but it rained 4 solid days. I mean, it was just crazy.
but did they
And
stop the music?
no, they played through it. It
No.
wasn't lightning, I guess. It wasn't threatening, so they played through it. But it was really crazy. Um, so I guess I got on the bus at Red Rocks because if you can withstand that, and still have a good time, and it was really special. And I was with my first husband then, and he was into the Dead, and we kind of fell in love with it together. And then I went to every show I could ever get to from Durango. We went. We mostly were Colorado shows. I never got to go back east till much later in life. I went to a couple California shows back then. I remember going to Santa Cruz. It was a really fun show. And I mean, I've had some incredible memories. I got to go to the New Year's Eve show um, in San Francisco at the Bill Graham Auditorium. And that
Wow.
was really an incredible show. That was 2010.
Wow.
Wow.
And that's another really sweet connection I have with the dead is my dear friend Alice, who you'll get in an interview later. Alice lived in California at the time, and her boyfriend played flag football with Bobby. So she got to become close, became the manager of the Chieftains, and Alice was able to have a pass. What was that lanyard that just, she could go everywhere, anytime. She went to Europe and did the entire Europe tour, every show. But Alice, one day we weren't that close of friends in Durango, and she looked at me in exercise class and said, "Do you want to go to New Year's Eve with me to the dead?" And I was like, I just couldn't believe she even asked me. I was just like,
I love that.
really, you'd really, really take me. And that was, we really got close over going to shows, and we still to this day go to every show together. And she knows Bobby well, so we get to go backstage. And we at that Bill Graham show was really incredible. We were back in the dressing room with Bobby, and the first time I ever saw Bobby though was with Bobby and the Midnights. I suppose that was after I'd gone to the Dead though. But
Was
Bobby
that,
Midnight's in Durango, Colorado.
that was with me.
That yeah, that was with
With
someone, right?
Michelle.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Michelle. That must have been after, yeah, after Redbox, yeah. But that was really fun. Nobody knew what Bobby and Midnights was. And we sat in the front row and we got backstage passes, and Bobby came out after a while. There was no backstage. It's just a really rinky-dink place. But
Well, you know what we might have to do here with the newsletter is get maybe a little screenshot of that picture you have.
oh yeah.
We might have to throw that in the
We might
newsletter.
have to throw
Yeah,
that in
like
there.
that newsletter. If we, yeah,
Take
that's
us
a
to
great
Bobby,
picture.
and that was 1987.
1987. Okay.
Mhm.
Oh, that's 10 years after I went to my first show.
Yeah.
So yeah, but that was just amazing. And then so when I met Bobby in New Year's Eve that time, I grabbed his face and I gave him a big kiss and I said, "I've met you before in Durango." Like the Iron Horse Inn, Of course he didn't remember, but he was taken back with my kiss. But I just every time I meet him, I've met him a couple times other than that with Alice, but I just always thank him so much for the music and the happiness and joy and friendship I've made through his band, and just I know who my favorite artist is later down the list, but
Yeah. I don't think we even need to ask that question because I think we know who your
Yeah,
favorite.
Bobby is
I
my
think we might already
favorite,
know.
and Bobby's my favorite, and not only his talent and how he's just the glue for the band, he's kept it going, but he's the cutest too. He was the cutest one.
That has something
And
to
those
do with
little
it.
those cut off shorts and those polo shirts. I mean, I was sort of a preppy person, and boy, that got me turned on. And he just later in life, I introduced my deceased husband to him, and we were at American Airlines Center in Dallas, and I took him to his first show, and I didn't even want to look at him and see if he liked it or not. I was just like so anxious that he would fall in love with it, because I wanted him to be a Deadhead, really bad. So I looked, after the, intermission or whatever, like, "Are you liking it?" He's like, "Yeah." And then he became a total Bobby expert. He started studying Bob Weir, and he really taught me about the rhythm guitar and what Bob does and how crucial it is to the whole, laying the groundwork for everybody to play off and keep the rhythm. And, I just, through Ross, I gained a real respect for his talent as a musician.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah,
wasn't just
absolutely.
one anymore. He was just super talented too. And his voice, I mean, when he sings, it just, they're my band. And I love John Mayer now. I'm just so excited with the Dead and Co. and the changes. And
There's a
I'll
lot
get,
of changes, a lot of
yeah,
changes.
yeah. I love that article Bobby just came out with about John, and how he's don't look at him as a replacement for Jerry. It's not like that at all. And
Right.
he's just he's so incredible. He's taken over and taken us to heights that we never would have reached, and so dedicated. And of course,
Yeah.
he's so cute too.
I think
So,
everybody thinks that. So
oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, I'm a Bobby girl. Here's my one of my little Bobby pictures back in the day when I
Oh, that's good.
when I loved Bobby so
Yeah,
much as a
that's really good.
So,
kid.
Okay, so I'm curious then to know, have you been to more Grateful Dead shows or Dead and Company shows?
Well, I probably went to more, I went to Further, Rat Dog, a lot of Further.
Hmm.
I've probably been to more Denko shows though, because they've been
You
together
think?
for years now,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I've hit it
true.
pretty hard in the last 10 years.
And with the 3 day runs, so
Yes, you can add them up fast.
kind of
Yeah.
out of real fast.
yeah,
Um,
and we
but
got
yeah, East Coast shows are fun. I've done some East Coast shows. I went to the Capitol Theater, and one fun thing I did was I went to the Beacon Theater for a 7-day run with Further. And so that was
When
really awesome.
when
Stayed
was
at the
that?
Beacon Hotel in New York City.
When was that?
Gosh,
Put you on the
when was
spot. I have to think about a year now.
that? And yeah, let's see, would have been about 2004. And they,
Yeah.
the Allman Brothers always did a long run there, and the Dead further started doing that run. They had just remodeled the Beacon; it hadn't been reopened very long, so. But that place is beautiful, the gilding, and you know, East Coast shows are so different, and the East Coast the Deadheads are so different than the West Coast. We're very laid back in the West, and
Right.
when you're at Red Rocks, you got an East Coaster, and they're kind of elbowing you. You're like, dude, you're on my turf now. It's like a chill pill. Always like, God, they're so sometimes they're so aggro. But they're just a different mentality. In the East, we take it slower. I mean, the West, we take it
Think
slower.
slower.
They're
Yeah.
real fast
Yeah.
paced over there. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but they're so knowledgeable. The Deadheads from the East Coast are very, strong, and they just know a lot of facts, and they're
a lot
very,
of history. I mean, they played up there so much. They probably,
yeah, yeah,
we have a couple of East Coast Deadheads coming up on some shows here. So
cool, great.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
don't take what anything I said bad. It is different, but everybody
It's
loves
different.
it. It's all good.
what is your favorite song?
Well, that's a tough one.
That is a tough one.
Eyes of the World is my favorite song.
Okay.
I suppose that's because the lyrics, my loved one is no longer here anymore, but that's our song. And I hear that song, I'm with him. And Eyes is one of my song, Love Light, High Times, and I love He's Gone because it's just real special to me. And there's a lyric in there about dancing on my grave, and
Mhm.
that's my motto is I want everybody to be able to always dance on my grave. And Love Light, I just feel like that's my light is what I give. My gift is my light, my God's gift, and I always have love, light.
Yeah.
I love that.
And I love Bob, the Wolf Brothers. Love the
Yeah.
Wolf Brothers.
Yeah.
Just the when they added the Wolf Pack became
It's
a whole nother
took it to another level.
lightning and chanting type thing. And I've gotten to know some of those Wolf Pack guys, and they're just really fun. And
Well, and you've gotten to see him at the with the symphony as well.
at the Atlanta Symphony. That was special, very special. After Kennedy Center, I was like, oh, I gotta go do this, and then that came up, and so that I was able to attend all three shows of that, and that was really special seeing them all in Texas, and
Oh
it
yeah,
was
I
a
bet. I bet.
whole different kind of crowd,
Contrast.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, a
big
little bit of
contrast.
contrast. All right,
But
we'll keep going here. So this is probably going to be a tough one too, but favorite show, and
okay,
it's a two-parter. Favorite show, and was there a time that felt spiritual or transformational?
okay. So favorite show.
That's going to be a hard one.
Well, it's probably going to have to be The Sphere. I just,
Mm,
If
okay.
you'd done this interview a year ago, I wouldn't have this experience and my belt to work off of.
Fair. That's fair.
But I tell you, The Sphere, and last year we did The Sphere on my birthday, and I had 20, we rented a suite box, and I had my family and friends and very special people in my life. And I just couldn't imagine anything more joyful to me than that whole experience. And I remember standing on the edge of the box one night and just looking at my people, and a lot of people were there that hadn't ever seen the Dead. And my brother, he's a country cowboy, and he loved it. And it just, to be able to turn people onto the Dead is something that I love. But just like
My
with
daughter too.
my husband, you can't make them like them or anything. They either, it's quick, you do or you don't. I mean, it's, oh,
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
We got
yeah,
we got to take Isabella for her first show.
yeah, we had
Yeah,
generationals there. So we
yeah, we
had
did. We
Michelle
did.
and Izza there.
But the Sphere, it's just, I mean, when you've seen a show at the Sphere, it's hard to not put that one first.
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, even the graphics aside and stuff, John Mayer is phenomenal this year at the Sphere and last year too. And
John
his
is.
solos, I'm on that John Mayer solo feed, and his solos at the Sphere, and just the technology. He does a lot of technology, and the algorithms that they do the set list with, and the way that music moves with the graphics, and it always ends right and comes in right. And I mean, it's just for the Dead music, which is such a jam band free flowing, to be able to be on a schedule is crazy to me. Like, how do they ever do this? So I've seen the Sphere. Last year I saw 6 shows, and this year I saw 3.
Yeah.
So that was, I met a
It's
guy. I was at a Tedeschi Truck Show last week, and I met a guy from Austin that had seen like 12 shows this year at the Sphere.
wow. It's just a different level. It's just a completely different level to
It is a
experience.
completely different level.
Yeah.
And I did it from the floor, from the seats,
Yeah.
I like the 100 level. But other than that show, I have to say the AT&T show with my honey was very, very special.
Yeah.
That was a
Yeah.
funny show because we thought it started at 8, started at 7, and we were getting ready in our hotel room. We were staying right there across the street, the W, and I was started singing Shakedown because he didn't know much about the Dead House. I started singing Shakedown, and we got in there. We'd missed the first song, and it was Shakedown. So I was singing
Oh,
it
no.
while it was playing. It was just so meant to be.
Totally.
That always happened.
Perfect.
And you,
Perfect.
you meet, the people you meet. Sometimes you keep up with them, sometimes you don't. But I've met some great people. Also, the Mexico shows stand out as,
I was going to ask about that if you thought Mexico, how that
yeah,
compares. That's
yeah,
up
I've
there.
done 4 Mexico shows. One was the COVID Mexico show, the show that didn't
The
happen.
show that the show that was not.
The show that wasn't, but that was so great because everybody was so happy and having a great time. And I remember the first night when they, the ones of us that were there, and they said, the concert's been canceled, and people were like devastated. They were crying, and all this gloom and just this whole heaviness around the whole place. And I put on my light up headband, and Michelle had made these great stickers, box of rain stickers, and I just went through the crowd and I said, "Look, this is great. This is all good. We're going to have a good time." And there was a lot of people playing on the side. There was always like little groups playing anyway. But it was a special time. Because we had to be our own entertainment. It was like
True.
it was cool. But Mexico is really special because you're on the beach, and it's 4 days. And it's just you really get into the vibe, and everybody decorates their balconies, and it's just a cool experience. So Mexico, the Sphere. Before that, of course, Red Rocks. Red
Sure.
Yeah.
Rock is a favorite venue.
Sure. I'd have to say anything at Red Rocks is going to be up the top of the list,
Yeah,
though,
yeah.
especially at
Because
that show.
any band there is just so um, they're just so at awe and being in Red Rocks and playing in Red Rocks.
Absolutely.
It's such a great experience.
All right. What do
Well,
we have up next?
I would say the show that you most wanted to attend but couldn't. For me, it would have been Telluride because I didn't get to go. But what would be the show that you most wanted to attend but just couldn't go
Well,
at the
Egypt would be my first because I wanted to go to Egypt. I just thought that would just be crazy. And then the other one is one that isn't happened yet, but I really wanted to go see the Wolf Brothers at the Prince Albert Hall.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
June 19th, because that's one of my very, very favorite venues that it's like on my bucket list to go there. I've visited it with a tour, but I didn't see a show there. And I just think that's so iconic, and it's a beautiful hall, and I'd love to see them there. But Alice and I've decided to go to the San Francisco shows.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very
we're gonna
good.
because Billy Strings is playing,
I know.
Sturgill and
Sure.
Trey. So
We, yep.
Billy's my other, right now my other
Yeah.
love.
We see him
I,
right behind you there. So
yeah, there's Billy. Yeah,
There he
we
is.
I love
love.
Billy.
You're feeling the
I
love.
just can't miss Billy.
No,
I just,
no.
with Bob, and I guess he's gonna play first, and then the Dead and Kogan play, and then I imagine they'll play together, surely.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
good.
All right.
Okay, good.
So we want to know also what is the weirdest thing you've seen at a show? There's so many.
Wow, that's
It's a
tough.
thinker.
The weirdest thing.
While you're thinking about that, you can think about the best food maybe you've eaten at Shakedown.
Well, I know I thought about that. Uh, I think like the buffalo chicken tacos
Really?
Really?
that they make on the griddles.
Yeah, right.
Um, yeah, okay. The weirdest thing might be like just, well, the worst thing is people that are too high, that are just
Yes.
like, too out there and they're
Yes.
not having fun and
We
they're
see that.
the worst thing to me is the people that talk too much.
Yeah.
I hate the people that talk too much around me because they're so distracting, especially at the Sphere, because they're all just like, oh my God, and
Right.
they'll be in a heavy moment of, he's gone or, you know, um,
Broke
have
down.
no mercy or, broke down or, yeah. And, they're just chatting away. And, we used to have these little stick cards that we made that say, shut the fuck up. Bobby said, shut
Bobby
the fuck up.
says.
And we'd hand them to people back in the day. I got to get some more of those, Brenda, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think the California thing's gonna be special because it's the 60th anniversary.
Yeah.
Big-
It'll be
Yeah,
Just,
huge.
yeah.
It'll be huge.
how do you think this music has changed you?
It's opened my heart. It's made me appreciate life more. The music just is so soothing and comforting. I'll put it on in my car. I don't stress out. It's lowered my stress level. It takes away my stress, and I drive a lot. It passes the time so well just getting in the car. And I love, Golden Road and Steve Parrish and just, yeah, I've read a couple books. I've read Phil's book and I just love that. Searching for the Sound is Phil's book. And I've read a couple Jerry books about Jerry. I just want all this knowledge. I want to know and learn everything I can. They've changed my life. I mean, there's no doubt. I would not be I don't think I'd be as loving as I am because of the band. The music just makes you want to be nice to people. And, it's such the experience, the feeling of the camaraderie of all these people just appreciating this music. And I love to dance and the dancing. I mean, I've never been able to dance like I dance, you know, and, when I'm not at a Dead show, I just have to tell my people around me, look, I'm going to be dancing. I need room. And,
Do you join
uh,
the spinners?
yeah, no, I didn't. I haven't spent much. I did hula hoop a few times in Telluride,
Hmm.
uh, but we had a couple of Bobby shows there. We had at Blues and Brews. We had Bob playing, and we had, of course, the Telluride show was really crazy when they came there, and Jerry was needing the oxygen, and it was so. And the sound wasn't great, but just they were in Telluride. It's like, who does that? It's like.
You're rubbing it in.
Because poor Michelle didn't get to
Poor
go.
Michelle didn't get to go.
Yeah,
So is
yeah.
there a show that you would go to again if you could?
Telluride, because it was in Telluride. The
We we would all we
Sphere.
would all go
I would
back
go
to
to the
that
Sphere
show.
any day, anytime I go to the Sphere. Um, Red Rocks is great.
Mhm.
I've seen several shows at Red Rocks, different all the variations of the band. I think Red Rocks is really one of the more special places.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It really is.
I see that.
yeah,
It
But I
that's
just,
have to
fair.
say Boulder. What about Boulder?
yeah, Folsom.
Folsom.
They
Folsom's a special place.
Yeah, Folsom is a special place. And that Folsom show where when Ross was alive, we were there with Michelle and it rained and they stopped the show on cold rain and snow. And they came in after the break on the exact note that they quit playing on. I mean, it was just the most incredible thing that they could come in just like that. And they're good about that. I heard every other day that Jerry said, Woodstock was they sounded the worst. Like they just, it was not a good show for them. But Folsom's always great. The Colorado crowd, you just,
Always the best.
something about that mountain high.
I think that's what it is.
About it. They do
That's
like
mountain high. Yeah.
All right.
well,
Do you
good.
have any more questions before we ask?
We have one more.
Yeah.
What advice would you give an up and coming deadhead?
Oh, I have some advice.
Okay, good.
Well, we want to hear it.
Okay, one thing is no expectations,
Hmm.
no reservations,
Yep.
just open mind, open heart. Um, and I would say experience the crowd, talk to people, watch people, make friends, dance, uh, feel the music, just watch everybody feel the music together. I remember I was with my sister and Todd, and we were in Folsom, or no, it was Mexico, and Ripple came on. I just laid back in her arms, and it was just, I have to have that picture right here. But anyway,
There it is.
just that, it's just sheer peace and fulfillment and love. It's just such love. And but I would also tell them to shut the fuck up.
That's good
Because it is
advice.
distracting, and if you want to talk, it's fine, but not second row.
Yeah.
That's most frustrating when people are really close and they're talking, and you just want to go, there's lots of room back there for your chat. But yeah, I just really no expectations, and just experience the crowd. Just feel the music.
That's some great
Love it.
advice.
I
That's
love
some
it. Really
great
good.
advice.
Yes. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed our first interview. Thank you all for you two for being here and supporting the project. And tune in next time for our next great interview. We'll be joining hopefully with Alice,
Hopefully.
our wonderful deadheads that has gotten to travel with Elizabeth and has lots of stories of her own. So we're hoping to share some of those with you and let you experience
Alice
them.
got on the bus probably 78 as well, but in California,
Good.
which, as a Bobby girl.
Yeah. Very
So
cool.
she's will be very enlightening.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That'll be great. We look
That,
forward.
that'll be a
Well, I
great
love you guys. I'm
episode.
so excited about you doing this because I think um,
Thank you.
deadheads love to talk to each other, and we have a lot to share, and the music has changed, but the music's the same.
Yeah.
And that's what's so amazing. I've been listening a lot to old shows on the channel, and you'll hear a show from 70, 68. And it's the same songs that we hear now that John's doing, and OTO, we love OTO, and
Yeah. That's what I've been doing. I've been getting on re-listen and just listening to those really, really old shows.
yeah,
And they're
yeah,
just great.
yeah, they are.
Yeah. They're
Well, and
great.
that's what we're trying to do is share some of that with our followers. So hopefully we can bring some of that because we're bringing a playlist every issue too. So hopefully that brings back like last week um
With the Cornell show.
did the Cornell show. Exactly. So
Right. Well, I'm
Yes.
glad you guys are doing this. I support it wholeheartedly. Anything I can do to help.
Thank you
thank
so much for being the first and for being our guinea pig. And
I'm honored.
we just appreciate it. And everyone go to ChinaCatChat.com. You can subscribe to the webinar or you can subscribe to the newsletter there.
Okay.
thanks
Thank
y'all.
you.
Good night.
All right.
Goodbye. Good night.
Okay. Bye.